Hello, everyone. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my show, Chat with Monica. I am going to welcome my guest, Julie Kent. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. And before we go into really interesting topics with Julie based on her life challenges, you're gonna watch my intro. See you in a bit.
Everybody wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be loved. All of us wish to be healthy. Everyone wants to enjoy life.
Art changes the world. It inspires people to stand up and speak up and support.
It was time and lesson between us we were able to.
Hello and welcome once more. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Julie, again. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes.
Good, good, good. Thank you for accepting my invitation. And I can't wait what we are going to share with the world today, because I know your life journey has not always been easy, but rather difficult and quite challenging. So I know there was some loss of a little soul in your life. And I know that can be really tough for a person, for a mom or a father to kind of not get over, but come in peace with, if I'm going to say it that way. So I wonder if, based on your life experiences, not only this one, but everything that kind of led you to this point where you are right now in your life, doing what you're doing, how has the journey actually been for you?
I don't think you really think, well, I don't really think about it that much. And I'm not the kind of person that looks back very much at all. I don't have regrets. I don't ever think back and regret doing anything. I think whatever has happened in our lives, it's sadly happened for a reason, and I just continue. I've learned something from it, whatever it might be. I've learned something from it, and I carry on and go on to the next thing. And obviously I had the worst thing happen. I lost a child, and I do think that losing a child is the most awful thing in the world to happen. No one expects to bury their children before their parents, really. But there at that time, we started the charity in her name, and we just started to raise money and get something positive to come out of such a dreadful thing. So, and that's what I've done continually, whenever things have been difficult, or I think probably losing my father really hit me badly. And probably losing my father about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, brought back losing Emily, because and I don't think I really dealt with it very well with Emily at the time, because I just started raising money. And when my dad died, it all came back. And I had a few months where I really wasn't great. But again, I just got back into the flow, and I am someone who I always want to do something. If something bad happens to me or for anyone, I need to do something. I can't sit and think about it too much and ponder over it. That's not really my style.
I think it would help more people to kind of do it, not probably the same way as you do, but a little bit that way, because it's always better to get up and do something rather than sit in it and feel the pain and feed it in that quiet, painful space of mind, if I can say that way. And so Emily, is that what her name was? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was definitely that kind of inspiration that led you towards starting to raise money. Is that right? In her name.
Yeah, at the time, we were in hospital, and she would have chemotherapy, and we couldn't get tested. We couldn't have a scan to see how well it was doing, because little children have to be scanned. They have to be anaesthetized and then put through the scanner. And we could never get a slot because they only had one set of anesthetic equipment. And so when she died, we initially just wanted to raise money to buy another set of anesthetic equipment so that other children could be scanned quicker. And that's how it started. And then it just led on, you know, people that were involved with children's cancer would contact us and say, oh, we've got a child that's going back to school and they need a big buggy, you know, could you raise money for that? And so it kind of developed, and as it developed, we felt it gave us a good feeling to do something for other people. And you know, and I talk about it a lot now, that the power of giving, the power of raising money and doing something for other people actually releases hormones in our body that give us good feelings. And obviously that then was a roller coaster that we started. And when we then had 2 other children, and when Emily died, we didn't have any other children. And then we had 2 other children. And we decided to fold the charity. And that's when I started to raise money for other charities. The only thing I would say is that that's the way I handled it, by carrying on. I know everyone is different. And I have met mothers, you know, who have lost their children. And some of them still have the child's bedroom as it was, or, you know, it's still there. And for them, and people will say, oh, that's a bit strange. But if that works for them, that's fine. You know, we're all different and we all have to cope with it in different ways. And especially people that haven't lost a child, it's not for them to say what is good for someone else and what isn't. And it isn't even right for me to say, you know, because grief is something that everyone handles very differently. And, you know, some people just go out and get drunk constantly, or some people go out and party. And, you know, your body and your mind deals with grief and loss and abuse and everything in different ways. And I don't think there's any right or wrong way. So, but, you know, that it's just the way that I've handled it.
Yes, absolutely. But if we are going to think about it, you did have a choice to decide what you were going to do.
Yeah, so, and actually it was at the beginning of the school holidays. I was a teacher, and she died in the June, and I could see this massive 8-week holiday. And, you know, that's a long time. And I could have, you know, got under the duvet and not come out and, you know, mourned and grieved. But that isn't, you know, that isn't myself. I need people. I'm a big people person, and I need people, and, you know, organizing things and getting people together. And actually I had some good friends at the time who got me to try and play tennis. So I started to play tennis, although we didn't really play a lot of tennis. We would stand at the net, the 4 of ladies, with our rackets in all the gear, but we seemed to talk a lot at the net rather than play tennis, I've got to say.
But it's also a way, isn't it? It's just anything, as you said, anything you do is really much better than not doing anything, than just, you know, covering yourself with the duvet and hiding away.
Yeah.
You know, before the truth, because, you know, once you'll have to come out, you will have to deal with it. You have to get back to life. You'll have to do something. Otherwise, you know, what's the point of continuing living, really? Yeah. So I really adore you, and I'm sure many other people will do too. But tell us about the work that you do now, because you work with disabled children as well.
I don't really work with them, but I do raise money for them. So I work with a charity called Goals Beyond Grass, and it's quite a small charity in Gloucestershire, although it is getting bigger, because actually the guy who runs it he's in Switzerland quite a lot, training disabled children and young adults in Switzerland to play power chair football. It is. So it's young people and children who get in a wheelchair, but it's powered, so you make it go backwards and forwards and round, and it has a plate on the front, and the footballs are really big, so they're this size. And for some of those children, that's, you know, it is the highlight of their week, because some go to normal schools, some go to special schools that are just for disabled children. But the good thing is that sometimes they invite their brothers and sisters who are able-bodied and fine to also get in the power chairs and play power chair football. So they're on an equal footing, really, which is really, really good. And they also take these wheelchairs out into old people's homes and let them sit in the chairs and try and play football. So people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and they love it too. It's a lovely charity, Goals Beyond Grass, and I can't say, they've struggled for money, obviously, and so if you look them up, but it is an amazing charity, and the kids, they just love it, but they haven't been able to play, so it's been really difficult for them. And then the other charity that I'm involved with, or I'm involved with two others, but the Pied Piper Appeal, they raise money for the hospital, and there are 12 schools in Gloucestershire, 12 different schools that are for either physically disabled or mentally disabled or whatever. And we raise money for minibuses, special sensory rooms where they can go in, and they can press things. So that's my other involvement really with disabled children.
Can I ask you, because, I think we have an opportunity to actually dive a little bit deeper than what we see on the sort of like outside of it all, the adverts about how the children are either having fun or not having fun. But of course, there is that work that's important, and that's actually raising that money. So how does that work?
What do you mean? What do you mean exactly?
So how do you actually raise the money for the charity?
Okay, so Pied Piper Appeal is very events based. So our theory is organize things. People will come, have a great time, and if they're really enjoying themselves, they'll splash the cash and they will spend their money. And we have balls, we have golf days, we have quizzes, and we have a 2-day summer show at a big stately home in Gloucestershire, and that normally raises £40,000. That's an amazing 2 days where we have a big stage, we have cars, we have absolutely everything. And so most of the money raised with Pied Piper is all about events. Goals Beyond Grass, because they are totally disabled children, whether they can apply for grants and government grants, or they can apply for trusts. There are a lot of trust funds from big families that invest money, and charities like that. And the other charity I'm involved with, Cheltenham Open Door, which is homeless people, they can also claim for grants because they're providing a service. And that's another way that you can get money. I mean, it's made us think at Pied Piper because of the pandemic. We've started a 100 club now, so people pay £10 a month, and we draw a ball out every month, and people win money. But at least you're getting that money every month, and you're not relying just on events. And we've worked on a sort of policy for people who might die and leave money in their will. It's not so much, I think, hospices. So, for example, around Gloucestershire, there are quite a few hospices. So if you're an adult and you're dying of cancer, you can spend your last few days in a hospice. And I think people then donate to the hospice when the people die, But it's a bit different with children because usually if you lose a child, the family are still living and paying the mortgage and everything else. It's not like an older person that dies and they leave money. Do you know what I mean? So we're in a different kind of charity bracket to people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like how we are talking about all kinds of groups of people, and we are really talking about people's lives. So obviously, losing someone, it's not easy thing to overcome. And you said that everybody is different. With the journey that you've taken, that journey has kept you quite busy, quite occupied, So did you actually have those moments where you were kind of on the edge of sliding down into those kind of feelings that don't serve us well?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, I think probably when my dad died, because I don't think I really dealt with it. When Emily died, this was about 26 years ago. No one really offered you counselling, or, these days, everyone has a counsellor nearly. You can have counselling for anything. You know, if
Yeah.
you have a miscarriage, you're offered counselling. If you have a burglary in your house, you're offered victim support counselling. You know, you're offered counselling everywhere. But 26 years ago, no, I don't remember anyone offer us any counselling. And so you just kind of carry on with it. And like I say, and then when my dad died, it kind of hit me like a double-decker bus, I think. And I was in Spain all summer, and I didn't want to come out from under my duvet. And that wasn't like me, because my personality isn't like that. But I wasn't kind of wallowing in grief. I just felt very down, just felt like I couldn't cope with people. I just couldn't cope with life. I just wanted to do nothing and think nothing. And it was a very dark place. And I was in Spain for about 8 weeks, and I did phone my surgery, because I was with a friend out there who said, you really need to speak to a doctor or someone.
Yeah.
And I phoned my surgery and I said, look, I explained how I was feeling. I said, really, could my husband pick up, because he was coming out, you know, could I have some antidepressants or something? And they said, no, you'd have to come in and be seen. And obviously I wasn't going to fly back for that. So I did get through it. But, you know, I've got friends that haven't lost a child who need antidepressants to get through a day and a week and a month. And again, that's fine. If that's what gets you through the day, I don't see anything wrong with that. And but by the end of the summer, I was out there for about 8 weeks. She helped me a lot, actually. She's a girl in London, and she really helped me. And I had a lot of tears, and she kind of, you know, said things, I suppose, to make it more painful. And I did cry a lot. And she was absolutely brilliant with me. And then I went back to school in the September, and I was in a better place, I would say.
So she helped you a lot. It was your friend, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know, because we've started actually talking about antidepressants, and I know I have to mention it again because it was shocking for me to actually find out 2.5 years ago, when I was still in the UK working, and I met some young people, you know, teenagers.
Yeah.
And I was shocked that they were under 20 and they were on antidepressants already. So I see where you're coming from when you're saying that 26 years ago there wasn't counseling, you know, there wasn't anything like it to offer us. And I personally feel very grateful for everything that we have available to us now to help our mental health, you know. But with these people, because you also mentioned some people, you know, that haven't been through any kind of like tough challenges as you losing a child or something like that, you know, but they still need antidepressants to get through the day. So to those people, because we both know what it feels like to be so down that you actually consider that option and you ask for it because you have no idea how to get out of it yourself.
Yeah.
So what would you say to these people? What would your advice be?
I think, you know, I've seen people that are so desperate, they can't really explain how they feel, but they are struggling to get through a day. And if you feel like that, and you can explain that to your doctor, and he will give you antidepressants, and sometimes you might only need half of one or whatever, but it just takes that edge off, apparently, is the way my friends have described it to me. And it just helps you to be able to cope with, you know, it, like you say, people in their 20s, they could be doing a degree, and the pressure of getting that degree with a first class honours or whatever it is, they are putting themselves under so much pressure that is affecting their whole body, and certainly affecting their mind. And sometimes I have known students that just do need something to just keep them calmer so that they can work at night and do all their work. Otherwise, they get themselves in such a state they can't actually absorb and revise for their exams and do everything else. And so if medication is going to help that, I think, and that's going to get you your degree, I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes when you're really down, yeah. Because I know also some occasions where people have just given up, you know, and that's like the bottom line. And
you don't want them to get that far, do you? You don't want them to get to that point where they think their lives are worthless and no one really cares whether they're here or not. You don't want them to get to that stage. So you know.
So let's turn the page a little bit because we are getting quite down here. I would highlight actually all the reasons why it's beautiful to live in this world right now, regardless of what's been happening. Come on. What is your sort of get up in the morning feeling, thinking, whatever you do to keep you going and stay happy and just okay, you know?
Well, I think the first thing to do is exercise when you get up. And I sometimes might exercise naked here on my floor.
I love it. Yeah.
Because I had an exercise called the 10-minute torso torture. And it was all on my mat. I've got a really thick mat. And it was all abs. And, you know, I can just come down. I put the kettle on. And then I come down and I switch it on. And I do my abs 10 minutes. And although today I did a 20-minute hit and it absolutely killed me. But I think to start the day doing some exercise, it just gets your brain going, it gets your body going. You go up and have a shower. I'm ready for the day. My brain is ready. So I think, and even if you don't like that kind of exercise and you want to go out and walk your dog, or you want to go and just walk down and get a paper and come back, or I think to do, you know, something first thing is good. If I don't do it, Monica, you know, Sundays, I might say, oh, Sunday is my rest day. But then I'm sluggish all day. I don't really, you know, I'm quite an energetic person anyway, but I do think you're better off starting like that. And then it gets you going. And for me, bouncing off people gives me energy. So I think that is really important as well. I'm really rubbish at lying around and doing nothing. I don't watch TV. I hardly ever watch TV.
Brilliant.
I can't sit through a 2-hour film. That just feels like to me a waste of 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I do need to be doing something. And obviously I love doing my social media. Although even sometimes that is kind of, oh my word, because I
know
many accounts, but you know, I like to see funny things that make me laugh, and I can laugh at myself. I don't mind laughing at myself. And, you know, I just think life is for living, and none of us know what is around the corner. Tomorrow, any of us could be told anything drastic, you know, and my husband and I have already decided if we were told that we had something that, you know, wasn't going to give us very long, we've already got it put aside. We are doing a world cruise for 3 months on a cruise liner in pure luxury, and we're going to do the whole world. And then I feel like I won't mind if I kick the bucket.
ready.
That is our plan, if either of us are told that. Because I'm going to be 60 this year, and you know, you hear all the time friends of ours that aren't well and, you know, are told they're not well. And it's just, none of us know when that's going to happen. So you have to live every second of every minute, really make the most of it.
Oh gosh, you do. You said it so nicely. Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you're looking at it. You know, like I don't think many people do it that way. You know, they still fear dying, you know, and not being here, being able to control it because it's going to happen one day anyway, doesn't it? That's at least my kind of point of view. Why would I worry about something that's going to happen one day anyway? Now I am 36 and I want to live, you know, and I'm here to live, not to die. Everybody's going to die, but I want to live, you know. So it's quite interesting. And I like how you talk about it in that sense of we've got a plan. If someone says that, well, we've got a plan, no problem at all.
Yeah. The only thing, sometimes I think, yeah, well, if you die, sleep and rest. Because I don't really get much sleep forever.
So it's like a dream dying in sleep, right?
The only thing is I have got a granddaughter and she is just gorgeous. She's about, 16 months old. And obviously we have missed times with her. You know, we missed the time when she started to crawl because we were in lockdown. And it's just really sad that we can't see as much of them. We do on FaceTime and she does respond to me on FaceTime. Yeah. But you know, obviously, and my daughter and my son, I would really miss them too. But, you know, the thought of, you know, not being around when she's going to do all the things that she's going to do is sad. But, you know, that is life and death, really. You're either going to be here or we're not.
Yeah, exactly. I like what you said as well. Like, you know, I would be sad if I wasn't here when she's doing this and that, you know. And I believe that for people, it's important to really look forward to these little moments in life that lit you up, that brings that energy out, that make, you know, that feeling of I am rising, I am shining, I am happy, you know, that's why I'm here, because life is really series of little moments, and it's up to us how we enjoy them and live them either fully or not. So it's the decision really that we can all make for ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Got to go for it.
You've got to. One life, you've got to go for it. Brilliant. So tell me, what else do you do? Because I think you are a pretty busy woman, actually.
I am a pretty busy woman. What else do I do? Well, I've just started my own podcast, and the third one will be out next. The third episode will be out next week. And I've been on so many podcasts since getting the MBA, and I thought, oh, I think I'll do this. I'll have a podcast, but I didn't want to do the techie stuff. So my husband is offered to do all the techie stuff, and then I thought, oh, I don't want to just do podcasts. I want to have a sort of a reason or a meaning behind it. So then I decided that I would only interview people who had successful people, but had also done something to make a difference for other people. Yes. So it could be the last guy I had on, he'd started a website, not for profit, to promote the Cotswolds. And the guy before that, he was a painter, and he was patron of the hospital in Cardiff. He was also gay, and so he would promote gay rights and pride. He was, involved in Pride, and so he volunteered. And actually, his book, the money from his book, Pop Tart, goes again to the hospital. So all my guests have done something for other people, and it's called What's in the Goodie Bag. So they have to put something in my goodie bag at the end of the interview, and I will auction that or raffle that, which will then go to charity. So the podcast hopefully is entertaining from whoever I interview, but also they have to give something so that it also will generate funds for the Pied Piper Appeal. So that's my thought.
That's a brilliant idea, yeah, because you are back to what you said. It's about that giving and receiving, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm also in something called the Honourable Company of Gloucestershire. And it's something that you're invited, or someone will nominate you to be a member of. There's about 140 members. And the idea is that it promotes Gloucestershire, and we would use our skills to help people in Gloucestershire. So we do mentoring for charities or mentoring for other people. We promote Gloucestershire, and we have a trust. And in the last 12 years, we have given away £170,000 to small charities in Gloucestershire. It's quite, we have quite a few dinners. So lots of black tie dinners. And I love dressing up, Monica. So I love wearing a long dress, and I love, all that. All the dinners and all that sort of thing. So we have.
It's beautiful. So yes, we can kind of guess that you like dressing up.
I do like dressing up, and but it's something that the person who is at the top of it is called the warden, and they are the warden for 2 years, and I'm going to be the warden in 2025, and that's when you sort of well, you're supposed to lead it, I suppose. But for 2 years, you can sort of lead it in the way you want it to go, but generate more people to join and more people to give money. And it's to promote Gloucestershire. So I do a bit of that, and I write the newsletter for that, and I write the newsletter for the Pied Piper, which is weekly. And then I'm also involved with Cheltenham Open Door, which is a charity in Cheltenham, which feeds homeless, vulnerable, lonely people. So we're right in the centre of Cheltenham at the moment, and the people, not that many are homeless, to be honest. Most are housed. Some are lonely because they don't have any family at all. So they'll come along and have a lunch Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And before the pandemic, we were feeding about 50 people a day. Now we're feeding 80 people a day. On Christmas Day, we fed 85. And so I've tried to find a bigger building, and we're going to be moving to a bigger building, slightly out of Cheltenham, but still walkable. And we're going to open 5 days a week and make it more of a day centre, so they can come at 10 in the morning. They can have a coffee. They might be able to read a paper. We're going to have computers so that they can look for jobs, look for accommodation. We're going to, we'll be around so we can help them do that. And it'll be just in the day, but it'll be Monday to Friday, whereas it's been 3 days. So, that's really exciting. It's quite a big move, because Cheltenham Open Door has been going for 28, 29 years, and they've always been in Grosvenor Street. So it is going to be quite a big move. But I think, we don't want to get too down again, but I do think more and more people possibly will need help with food banks and food parcels, because possibly at the end of this, more people might be made redundant, and it might be people lose their jobs. So it might be even in more demand. So I'm the chairman of that, but I'm learning to delegate. It's a new skill for me, because I'm not very good at delegating, but I am really learning to delegate in that role. But it is really exciting. So and I sing and play the saxophone, which I haven't really been able to do. But when all this is over, I want to get out and do some gigs, because I like to play for parties, or I can play in a restaurant. I can just play my saxophone, some jazzy music, and people can eat. So I'm hoping, when all this is over, that I'll be able to play 2 or 3 times a month, which would be good.
Listen, you've been talking about everything that you do. When do you sleep and when do you rest? Because it's impossible to have that kind of a smile unless you are on some drugs or something and going 24/7. Yeah, I'm sorry, but
well, I gave up drinking 4 years ago, and so I'm anti everything. But I do like sleep. I have to say, I don't sleep very well, because I wake up in the middle of the night and I have all these things going through my head, which is not ideal. But I probably don't need that much. People normally say to me, "Who cleans your house?" Because or who cooks? My husband cooks, actually. He's really good. He'll text me in the morning. If I'm out, he'll text me and give me 3 choices for my supper. But
I like it.
Yeah, it's really good. And I am really naughty, because I could still be sat at my desk at 10:30 at night after, and he will come in and say, "Right, enough, you need to go to bed." But
so he does remind you.
Yeah, I do have a lot of energy, and I'm scared that I haven't made the most of it. When I go into the Pied Piper office for a day, at the end, about 4 o'clock, I say to the manager, our office manager, "Right, what have we achieved today?" I need to go to bed knowing that I've achieved quite a lot of things. I can't go to bed. That's why this weekend will be interesting, because I have not actually planned to do anything work-wise. No Zoom calls. What am I going to do? Rest, yeah.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
You need it, to stop that chittering going on in your head.
Everything, ideas. But I do like to lie on a sun lounger. That is something that I do. I love to lie on a sun lounger in a hot sun. And we do have a house in Spain, and we haven't been, obviously, but we have just ordered some new garden furniture, because up until July, we were living in a school. We lived in a school for 20 years. So we've only just come back to our house after 20 years. So we've ordered new garden furniture, and I need this summer to be very hot.
Nice. It's going to be, definitely.
And then I rest.
And then you rest, right? So you're waiting for the sun to rest, right? Yeah. That's a long wait in the UK. Don't get me wrong, but after 12 years, I know.
I know.
Oh, crazy. Gosh. Woman, so you are really going 24/7 if it's possible. Wow. Well, good that you are still doing it and enjoying what you are doing. Let's have a look at those people that have too much and are not coping. What would you say to them?
Oh, well, that's difficult, isn't it? You mean people that have lots of money and are not coping?
Maybe lots of work. They can have either a lot of money or they can have not too much money but being too busy, which is unhealthy either way, isn't it?
I know. And actually, everyone says, you know, everything in moderation. But I think, you know, I am an all or nothing person, which is why I gave up drinking, because I started to be drinking a lot every day. And the more you drink, the more your body gets used to it. And so, you know, I could drink a couple of bottles of wine and people wouldn't even know I'd had a drink at all. So the more you drink, the more you can. And that's why I knew I had to stop, because where was it going to end up, you know? And people say,
Can I ask you how did it happen? What was the breaking point that you actually realized that that was what was happening?
I think probably I went to an event all day and drank all day champagne and was still drinking at night. And I had been thinking about it, and I talked about it quite a lot, you know. And as you get older, also, you know, you feel fuzzier in the morning. You certainly don't feel like you feel after a 10-minute torso torture session. You're sluggish and you know, and I was a bit fed up of feeling like that. I used to have a Mars bar and that used to make me feel better, all that sugar. But I think I just got to the point. Also, you know, I got to the age where I was more aware of my health and more aware that, you know, if I didn't look after this one body that I've got, then that wasn't going to be a good thing. And I wanted to, you know, even though I'm quite blasé about living or dying, I do want to live, obviously. And so, you know, I just think I was beginning to think this isn't good, all this alcohol in my body, really. And it's time. And I had a whole day, and it was a fantastic day, celebrating, drinking champagne all day. And I said to a friend, I think I'm going to stop drinking. And she said, really? And I said, yeah, I think this is the time. And I went to Waterstones and I bought a book, because I always buy a book. Anything I want to do, I always buy a book on it. And I knew there would be a book because, you know, self-help or whatever it is. And there were loads of books. And I chose this one because it had boxes on. As I flipped through the pages, it had boxes and they were quite repetitive. So it was almost like it was, you know, brainwashing you. And I went home and I started to read the book, and I read it right until 3 o'clock in the morning, and I slapped it on the table and I said, I'm never going to have a drink again. And that was nearly 4 years ago. And people have said, you know, well, if you've got that kind of, you know, determination, why can't you just have one? I don't know if I could just have one. And what's the point in having one? You know, what's the point? Why have one glass of wine? I don't need that glass of wine anymore. You know, I would pour glasses of wine that were nearly half a bottle and shoot it down and go out. But I don't need that now. And, you know, I feel much better for not. My skin is much better. My daughter is a beautician. And I would say after about 8 or 10 months, she said, Mum, your skin is just more glowy. It's not so dehydrated. And I do think that all round, it's a poison. I think alcohol is a poison, and it's a drug. You know, it's not classed as a drug like drugs are, but it is very addictive, and it can ruin all sorts of things. And I'm just, you know, I'm with people who are drinking. I'm not someone who gets on my soapbox and you know, lectures people on drinking, but it's just it's not for me anymore. And you know, I'm glad that I stopped. And
do people around you accept it that you stopped, or are they still
people
trying
are funny, Monica? People are funny.
I know, that's what I'm
asking. It's almost like they feel guilty because they're drinking and I'm not. So I think it makes them more aware of how much they're drinking, which I don't care how much they're drinking at all.
I think it's a good thing. Yeah,
so I don't really, but people do become boring after they've been drinking for a long time. So whereas before I was still that person at 2 o'clock in the morning, wanting to open another bottle, still wanted to carry on. Now, 10 o'clock, people are boring me. They're already beginning to say the same thing, repeat themselves. And I'm kind of, yeah, I'm going to go now, actually. Yeah, because you don't, because it, like a drug, alcohol gives you more adrenaline. And so that's why you can party on and party on. And I was the last one. I never wanted to be the first one to go home. I wanted to be the last. Whereas now I just think, yeah, I need to go. Because what they're finding funny, you don't find funny.
I know. I don't drink either, so I know.
Yeah. I've never driven at night, really. It was a whole new ball game for me. I didn't drive after 6 o'clock because normally by 6 o'clock I'd had a couple of glasses of wine. So, and we lived in the centre of town, so I could ride my bike everywhere. But yeah, driving at night, and it's great driving at night, isn't it? Because there aren't as many cars on the road. So
exactly, it's quite romantic, isn't it? Put the radio on, nice song, you know. Yeah, exactly. It's I like that we are talking about this interesting topic because it's kind of like occasional drinking that people call is okay, but they kind of that okay is on regular daily basis, and it hardly ever stops by one. Yeah. So I completely understand that why would you have one when you don't need it? When you replaced it by something else and you know it's not good for you, so why would you go for it? But you know, for those that are really kind of like still saying it's an occasional drink on regular basis, i.e. daily, what would you say to them? Like, you know,
I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because my husband actually came home from golf yesterday or the day before, and he said, have we got any cider in the fridge? And I said, oh, I think we might have one. He said, oh, I'll just have one. So he had his cider, he sat outside in the sun, and he said, I'm going to go to the shop and get some more. And he could walk to the shop. And I said to him, that's why when people say to me, can't you just have one? Once you have one, that taste, you know, the taste is nice, and then you feel more relaxed and you want to continue that feeling. It's not until people drink so much that then they fall over, they smash their face, they're rude to people, they say things they've got to apologize for the next day. I've done all those things. Well, I haven't smashed my face, but I have fallen off my bike.
yeah.
You know, you end up doing things that you wouldn't do if you were sober. And so it's really a case of, do you want to get to that point where you're not in control anymore? And I used to probably love that feeling of being out of control, whereas now I like being in control because I'm so busy now and I've got so much on.
You don't have time to drink, do you?
No, I don't.
Question for you. So what changed?
What made me do it?
Yeah.
Like I say, just thinking about my health, and just thinking that, you know, I didn't want to feel grotty in the morning. I wanted to feel good. I wanted to make the most of every day. I think age probably.
And before, when you were drinking, would you say that you were looking after yourself?
No, I used to have loads of salt and vinegar crisps. So I used to drink wine and salt and vinegar crisps. And I actually, when I decided to stop drinking, I also stopped eating salt and vinegar crisps because I think a bit like people that smoke, you know, people used to drink and smoke. And so if people were giving up one of those things, they would also try and get rid of the other thing. And I think I connected. You know, if I poured a glass of wine, I would get a big bag of salt and vinegar crisps. So I also stopped eating crisps. I can eat crisps now, but nothing like I used to eat them before. And then I would drink the wine, eat the crisps, and then I think, oh, I won't bother with any supper. Well, that wasn't a good diet to be on either for my digestive system. So, you know, I kind of took a look at, you know, I think, I must have been about 55. And I suppose at 55, you see, they call you in for all these tests. So your doctor will call you in for this test, that test, and it makes you think more about how you are living your life, you know?
Maybe they should do it a bit earlier, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Throughout our life journey, you know, not 55, but come on, 25, 35.
Yeah, the NHS can't afford that.
Oh, well, something to work on.
Yeah.
Anyway, how do you look after yourself now?
Well, I have a rigid skin routine because my daughter is a beautician. So I use these products called Ren, and it's called Ren Clean or something. So even the packaging and everything is compostable or whatever it is called. So I do, I do the cleanse. I have this stuff called a Hydro Boost, and you just put a little bit and it puts the moisture back into your skin. Do that twice a day. And then I've got, all my creams and everything. I also, do the whole, I've got the electric toothbrush and I've got the flossers, to try and look after my teeth, because you get your gums start collapsing. Your whole body collapses, as you approach 60, I think. And so I do all that. And
you do your exercise. What about eating? Do you eat healthily?
Well, I love flapjack. I do love flapjack. And I think as well, I think there's a lot of sugar in wine. And I think when I gave up the wine, I needed that sugar still. So I think that's why I never ate cake. I never ate cake when I was drinking, and I never drank coffee. Whereas now, oh my word, I'm in Starbucks a lot. Because I have an app, and so I have to keep putting more money on. And I do like Starbucks. So, and they do nice chocolate chip cookies, actually. So if I have a Starbucks, I do like to have a chocolate chip cookie with it. But
addictive like that alcohol, it's the same thing, sugar.
Well, I think I probably have got, an addictive personality, because shopping used to also be a big, I've got over 200 dresses, and I think shopping, I just couldn't go out without buying something. Whereas the pandemic has stopped me doing that, because I'm not a big online shopper. I like to feel it. I like to try it on. But it's made me realize I have got, 4 wardrobes of clothes, that actually more than that probably, that I don't even need, haven't worn those things. So
with the dresses, you've got nearly a dress a day per year, right?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Nearly half of it, actually. Yeah, if you said 200, yeah. It actually, you nicely slide into my last question, because you said that lockdown has stopped you from this shopping addiction.
Yeah.
So it comes back to what you said right at the beginning, with a different context, but that everything happens for a reason. So do you really believe in that?
I do, because also this pandemic has made people think about other people much more. If you think about it, living in a cul-de-sac, people that live in a cul-de-sac, they would go to work, drive in, go in their house, come back out. When they started that clap for carers, people in the cul-de-sac actually started to speak to each other that they'd been living with for 10 or 20 years and had never spoken to. People started to think about an old lady that lived on her own and would put a note through the door to say, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" If we hadn't have had this pandemic, that would not have happened, would it? People, I think, have been very caring about other people. What about the planet? People aren't driving their cars as much, so it's been much better for the planet. We're not buying as much rubbish, so that's got to be good for the planet. Is it for a reason? I don't know. But it certainly has, I can think of all the positives that have come out of this. It's just the negatives that you can't have your grandchildren. But, there are positives.
Yeah. I like how you can really see the positive side of it rather than the negative, because many people still see that kind of like, oh, it's awful, and blah blah blah, and then obviously they're surprised that they are feeling down, and they don't enjoy life. So yeah, no surprise there. So the last question that I have, or sort of like a thought, is, if you had one thing to leave with the viewers, with people, with anyone, what would it be?
That it's really important to give to other people. Give to charity if you can, even if it's £1. Whenever someone puts a box in front of you, stick £1 in, or even your coppers. Even if you've got 2p's, 1p's, empty your purse of all the coins and just put them in. If you haven't got any money, just give someone some time. You know, there are lots of people that just want someone to listen to them, or they just want, you know, just a bit of half an hour of someone caring about them and sitting and chatting, or you know, I used to take my students to play chess at an old people's home, maybe play drafts or read the paper to an old person that couldn't see properly. And ultimately, you know, I feel like, you know, I've given myself to charity over the past however many years, and I just think, you know, that is what people keep saying to me now. What are you doing now you're retired? And I go, well, I'm chairman of this. And I, you know, if you've got any spare carrier bags, I'll take them. And please give me some tins of potatoes. And so giving is good. It's good for us as givers. As I said before, you know, it releases hormones that make us feel good. It's good for the person you're doing it for, so they feel good. So the whole thing is a win-win situation. And when I get out and I'm able to do my talks on the power of giving, you know, at the end of the day, that's what I want everyone to take away. And I want everyone to go and do something for their local charity. That would be fantastic. So it'll make a big difference to a lot of people.
Brilliant. I like that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't think we need to say any more because it's exactly as you said. That's okay. That's okay. Do you have anything else you want to add on?
No, just follow me on every platform, because I'm on every platform. Just follow me, Julie Kent MBE, and I hope I'll entertain you.
For sure you will, because I've watched your platforms and they're brilliant. So absolutely amazing. Julie, thank you so much for joining me in my show. Thank you very much for being my guest and sharing everything that we shared. I can see where people can really take their life into their own hands and enjoy it no matter what. So well done. Really admiration from here. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Leave us some comments. Obviously, if you have any questions, we will be happy to answer it. And next week, same time, 5 p.m. Thursday, live here with my next guest. Thank you.